The San Francisco 49ers have found their guy for defensive coordinator. Let's get it. Welcome to the Cayman's Island podcast, where we talk all things San Francisco 49ers. I'm your host, David Cayman. And in today's show, we'll be diving into the San Francisco 49ers' new defensive coordinator hire, Raheem Morris. Now, personally, I am very pleased with this hire for several reasons. So let's break it all down, faithful. Number one, Raheem Morris is a leader of men. To me, leadership at the NFL level is everything, especially on defense. And Raheem Morris's reputation around the league is that of a strong leader of people. He's been a head coach at the highest level in the NFL twice for two separate franchises in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. Coaches and players throughout the league have praised him for his ability to connect and motivate people. Some of the comments, even from somebody as well respected like Sean McVay, specifically about Raheem Morris's leadership, is that he's got like this magnetism to him that is just able to bring in a group of players where they really rally around and support the ideas and scheme of the coach. So to me, anytime you can garner respect from your peers and players, number one, that's a huge win right there. Point number two is Raheem's NFL coaching background. This man has over 2 decades of NFL coaching experience all over the place at different levels. As mentioned before, he's already had 2 opportunities to be a head coach. Almost had a third opportunity with Arizona. Ultimately, they went in a different direction, and we offered the job to Raheem Morris, and he took it. So if you look at some of his background from 2002 to 2005, he was the defensive quality control and DB's coach that was a part of a championship team back then in 2002. You fast forward to 2021 through 2023, and this is when Raheem Morris was the defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. This is the same Rams team that ultimately beat the San Francisco 49ers in what I call the Drop Tart Bowl, in which Jaquiski Tartt dropped that bunny of an interception in which we ultimately lost. And the Los Angeles Rams ended up going and winning the Super Bowl against the Cincinnati Bengals. Another thing that's cool, so he's got all that championship experience, but another thing that I thought was very neat, and I had to look into this, but from 2015 to 2020, he was actually at various roles with the Atlanta Falcons, where he was the defensive pass game coordinator and also a wide receivers coach when they had Julio Jones. And I think that's an interesting wrinkle for a defensive coordinator, to have an opportunity to coach on both sides of the ball, especially with the pedigree of wide receivers that are in this division with a Puka Nacua, a Devontae Adams, a Jackson Smith-Njigba. Being able to understand how those premier wide receivers can try to manipulate and take advantage of your defense. I think that's a really cool wrinkle, like I said before, and 2 decades of NFL experience. Guys, that stuff matters. Another thing that I really enjoyed, probably my favorite thing about this particular hire, is I feel that the San Francisco 49ers trusted their process. They could have made the comfortable move. Gus Bradley's already in the building. The players like him. It would have been more than likely a very familiar system. They could have already had their sights set on that. A decent coach already in-house. You don't have to fool around too much with the hiring process. But instead, what they did is they interviewed multiple candidates and chose the coach whose plan they believed in. Now, this tells me that the front office isn't just settling for what's there, but they're actually being intentional. And that's a big deal. I know some of the feedback or some of the fan base, things that I've heard, things that I've seen online, is some concerns about, scheme aspects of things, right? Raheem Morris being 3-4 oriented and the 49ers being more of a 4-3 wide 9 system and having some concerns with that. I actually like this opportunity. I don't think that hopefully they learned from the Wilks hire that you can't just take a coach and mold them into the identity of Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh is gone. Now, I know that Robert Saleh had a big impact on this past draft class. The draft class that came in was to fit a wide 9 system. And I feel as though if there are a couple of 3-4 wrinkles where we might have somebody like a Nick Bosa maybe every once in a while stand up instead of putting his hand in the ground, I think that would actually be neat to see if there's something that perhaps we can unlock in some players that could be different. But if not, it may be D. Winters that kind of comes to the line some. And it's not like we would run 3-4 every single down. There's going to be a percentage of plays. And I actually like the thought of Raheem Morris coming in here, maybe mixing up some defensive pressure schemes versus a lot of times we just try to rush for, stay back, have check downs be thrown and rally to the ball type of defense. I'm looking forward to some new wrinkles, and I'm really happy that we have that opportunity versus I feel like Gus would have been more of a trying to clone as much of Robert Saleh as he could. Again, I understand that the personnel that we brought in is to fit the wide 9. However, you have Raheem Morris in here early, and they can go ahead and start on strategy, help obtain some players on defense that kind of fit around some of the ideas that Raheem Morris has. I'm always about innovation. I'm always about new wrinkles. This is a league in which you have to adapt. It is very hard for you in this league to be able to run out the same thing that took the league by storm last year. I think about the year like the Dolphins would try to run the Wildcat, or anytime you have these new systems, these new wrinkles, even the tush push, as you can see year after year, it's getting harder and harder to get these gimme plays or these gimmicky things that worked in prior seasons. This is a copycat league, and coaches will draft purposefully to catch up with other teams in their division. So I'm really looking forward to what Raheem Morris can bring to the table. Now, some of the other concerns were when Raheem was head coach, none of his defenses were like in the top 3, jumped off the paper stats-wise. But I'll say this, they were always a competitive bunch of guys. And I would argue that these defenses never had a Nick Bosa, a Fred Warner, a Deommodore Lenoir. These guys are going to get healthy and come back to this football team. And so I'm excited to see what's going to go down with that. Raheem Morris just isn't some scrub. He's not a one-trick pony. He's seen it all, done it all, coached at the highest level. There's not going to be a scenario where the moment's too big for him or he's going to be nervous stepping into this role. He's won championships before. He's lost a championship, right, when he was the wide receivers coach back with the Atlanta Falcons. So this is not like somebody that's fresh and new and this job's going to be too big for him. Like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. Yeah, that's my view, faithful. This is a good hire. The Niners didn't take the easy way out. They trusted their process. They brought in a leader with real NFL experience and someone who can adapt and elevate this defense. At least I'm hopeful for that. Tell me what you think in the comments. Do you love this hire or do you have concerns schematically? Let's hash it out. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Remember to like the video, subscribe if you happen to bump into one of the faithful. Show them the channel. It definitely does help out. As always, guys, take care. Be blessed. Go Niners.